Hey there, welcome to another video on chess games. I hope you enjoyed last week's video, which was about defending against crazy openings. If not, please do check it out. But anyway, coming back to today's game. This is an ancient game. I mean, it's 1867. It's between Zupide and Lloyd. Why did I choose this game? What's so interesting about it? See, oftentimes we end up looking at a chess computer and say, hey, this is the right move. This is the exact correct move. But real tournaments are way off from that, especially if you're a beginner or an intermediate player. You have to understand that chess is more psychology, right? There's a psychological component to playing chess. So not everybody is a cold calculator who's just doing it in their brain, deciding what the next move is. Sometimes errors do happen, uh, chances that are missed, and this game kind of gives you an insight into what kind of emotions run through a player and how you could actually predict these things happening. So while Black did not play the best game ever, that Sam Lloyd, he still ended up winning because I think he had a very good pulse on his opponent's emotional state. He was able to almost swindle him into a game that he was looking for. Without further ado, let's get started. So the game is a typical Scotch game. So you would have this opening pretty much standard, maybe slight variations here and there, but essentially like develop all your pieces. Black delays the development of his queenside bishop. A bunch of exchanges. Everything looks okay. In fact, at this point, I would say White has the advantage. White's better off. He decides to sacrifice his f pawn, probably to get more attack. King moves away, attacks the queen. Queen moves, saves himself. Bishop moves d6, gets an attack on the rook. Rook to b8, probably with a plan of bishop to b7, trying to exchange the bishops out. And now White goes full on attack mode. He starts moving his kingside pawns, as in the h and g pawns, trying to attack Black's kingside. Okay, so this is like, remember from last week, we had kind of talked about the small counter attack, right? Just h6 will ensure that a counter move which will prevent all possible, unnecessary ugly attack that might eventually emanate from that. So I think this is where probably White is losing the plot. Like, he's finding it hard to figure out how to go about attacking. Okay. Bishop exchange. He's giving the pawn for free, but it's more like a poison pawn because if bishop takes g4, then I think you're opening up the g file, giving a lot of attack to White. So he refuses to do that. Instead, exchanges the bishops. This might be one of the first blunders. I mean, probably taking with the pawn would be better. You save the pawn, but he decided to take it with the knight. Knight takes e4, attacking the queen. Queen comes here, save the knight. And in fact, that's a good square for the knight because it even prevents the g5 pawn push. But now all of a sudden, White is attacking Black's queenside. Right? So this is a good shift. He was attacking kingside. Kingside is kind of well defended now. There's a queenside attack. Either the a pawn or the c pawn is going to go. So even though he gave away pawns, he's kind of getting it back. Black decides to save the c pawn, loses the a pawn, and eventually might lose the b pawn as well. And here he moves knight. Now here is a missed opportunity. So here's the first place that I want you to pause the video and think, what would be the most amazing move for White here? Because there is an amazing move for White here. It's something that would really change the game. But unfortunately, he doesn't see it. And the reason for that is often you deal with fear first. The emotion of fear comes in. Now you think, why did the knight come here? Because he wants to fork. So if you are only focused on what's happening to you and you're scared that, oh my god, I need to prevent this fork, then you miss out a golden opportunity towards a potential attack that can really make a difference. So you can pause the video here and try to see what is the correct move that White should have played. Okay, so the correct answer here is White should have played this. Queen 4 to take it. Then you have a 4. King moves here. You take this. And even though he might give a check, This makes it very, very strong for white. Okay, so it's at least drawish, probably a much better position than where he actually ended up because he did not see it. So he moved the rook instead. Okay, at this point, probably Black saw this. He saw that this is going to happen, and maybe he decided to do this Weissenzug. The queen under attack. He takes the b pawn. He attacks the rook. Rook comes to attack the knight, and now comes the first threat. So Black is basically threatening checkmate. So you could decide to move it here, but then queen here could also lead to a similar potential checkmate. So there's more and more attack coming your way. So he needs to think about what he's going to do. Dwight decided to bring his rook here and nullify all possible attack. Okay, and here's where the genius of Black comes in, or genius of Sam Loyd comes in, which is he realizes that there is a checkmate. Okay, and it feels like there's a mate in 8 here because there's almost this automatic behavior that Black has. So it starts with a check. He will lose this. Now comes the queen check. He can't come out here because if he does, then it's queen d2 checkmate. So he moves here. This is a check. King comes here. Now it's a discovered check. Now this is a pattern that you would have seen time and again in smothered mates, and that's exactly what happens. Now you've seen this pattern so much that your mind automatically thinks the only possible way here is rook takes queen. And if rook takes queen, obviously it's a checkmate. But there's actually a way out. So if you were a thinking, calculating chess player, you'll realize that the correct move here is king out. And this might actually give a slight advantage to white. But unfortunately, we are all creatures of habit or creatures of patterns, which means we did this. There's a check now, king goes here, and this is a pattern that you have learned. Yes, you're right, it's Anastasia made. Rook check here, queen blocks, and it's checkmate. So only at this moment, the moment he took it, now it's a checkmate in 3. But it almost feels like it's a mate in 8. And it looks like a mate in 8 because from here onwards, it's almost like the fate of white is sealed. Why? Thanks to understanding the psychology of the player. And sometimes you swindle your way through it. Right? So it might not work in the modern era. It might not work against very highly rated players. But this is 1867, mind you. And one of the reasons why I like to look at games around 1850 and 1867 is because those are the games which typically seem like today's amateur games, where you cannot expect that level of rigorous calculation, and oftentimes you have to contend with the kind of errors that you typically see with beginner games. And preparing for that is equally important, and understanding that chess is a game of psychology as much as it's a game of math will help you become a better chess player. Appreciate the game as much as you do your own. I hope you found this video interesting. If so, please do like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.